My name is Jordan Pittman. This is a project for my Critical Thinking for Managers class and about my best self and things that I would say to myself in my future and things that I've pretty much learned in the class. So let's get started. So before I started in this class, or prior to starting this class, I didn't really know much about critical thinking and critical thinking stages and strategies. So really and truly, just before this class, I really thought critical thinking was just a simple act of logic and reasoning and understanding and evaluating those ideas and the things that come behind them. After like taking this class and really understanding, now I kind of know that critical thinking does involve all of those. However, critical thinking is more of how you can use that logic and apply it to your life. Additional to that, the changes that you should see in yourself should be daily. They should be functioning. You should see those changes, and you should be able to use those critical thinking logics or the readings that you're having in your life. You should be able to put those forward and really apply them and transform your living and moving around in the world. It's really the logic of critical thinking, and that's something that I loved about this class. Additional to that, we move on to the transformations of leadership. So before, I really didn't know there were seven transformations of leadership. Honestly, I just thought a leader was someone who was just above what a manager was, that wanted to succeed and see the best in people. But learning that there are different types of leadership styles, I've learned that over the years. But really, what type of leaders there are. You have optimists, you have diplomats, you have experts, you have achievers, individualists, strategists, alchemists. Seven different types of leadership styles. I think for me personally, I fall into the expert leadership style. Um, and I'm pretty knowledgeable in both, professional and personal. I love continuous improvement. And experts, we tend to collaborate, and we don't really. I'm sorry, we tend to view collaboration as a waste of time. We don't really like to collaborate. Um, I honestly feel always that every meeting is not necessarily for me to be in, and then frequently, in my opinion, experts kind of see other folks that aren't in their discipline as less than themselves or a concept. So I love that I took this class, because now I've learned that my current thinking, or something I would say to my best future self, is as a leader, you should want to evolve into what they call the achiever stage. So, as I develop into that, because I'm not fully there, you should understand that expertise is amazing, but you should be able to also collaborate and work with others, because it's a huge part of leadership. And it also shows that you're willing to take in information and learn new things. Also, success can be saddled, within managerial duties, but you really want to definitely challenge yourself as a worker and be highly efficient. And achievers, they really and truly, they continue to, go in depth in their expertise, but they're also successful. And you, to be able to build success, you have to, have successful folks around you. And that's the big thing that I want to be able to understand, that it's not just all about me. It's really about others and putting those things and those people in places. Leadership. Another thing is in learning what my brand was. So before taking this class, I knew a little bit about brand influence. I did a project on Nike in an HR class that I'd taken prior, but I really didn't understand what my brand it was. So right now, I before starting this class, really and truly just understanding that your brand is just a little bit about you. What does your name stand for? Really and truly, I work in the hospitality industry. I work for a company and for a brand, a large company. So my personal brand wasn't really out there. But taking this class, your leadership style and who you are is actually a brand, and how you move. Your resume is a brand, and who you are and what all of that. So about 3 to 5 years from now, I really and truly want to have the opportunity to say that I'm a professor in an industry of either business or hospitality. And how do I build that brand? Something I would tell myself is, make sure you're evolving the brand. And something we learned from the Tyra Banks video is that your brand cannot stay stagnant. You have to be able to change it over time. And that's something I would say to my best future self. I shouldn't look at myself at 22 or 23 and be the same at 25. Your brand should be evolving. And Tyra did that so gracefully. She went from being a model to a talk show host to now an advocate for girls. So evolve your brand. Personal branding is really about, for me, and something I would say to my future self is understanding the evolution. Talk about what you love, travel, dreams, aspirations, ways to be your best self. That is what your brand is about. So people can connect with you and be able to say, hey, this is what I would like to do. So And really, I see my personal brand as something as an extension of me. It should be a point of saying, oh, you get to know me and you're not even around me. So next we'll talk about self-leadership. So self-leadership is generally defined as aims to enhance your personal effectiveness through three categories, and the categories are behavioral strategies, natural reward strategies, or constructive thought strategies. So self-leadership can kind of go into three different areas. Really and truly, self-observation and being aware and how you act is really a part of self leadership. You know, being aware of why you act, how you act, when you act, and how you can use this in your everyday. For me, I think that is a huge takeaway from this class, and something I would definitely tell myself. Always thinking about that next move and thinking, being aware of where you are and how you're using it. Self goal sets, having a goal set and making decisions for your goals, and understanding that it's not just about writing them down. For me, what I do is I re-reference them at least twice a month and going back and saying, how can I pursue it? How can I do it? How can I make this better? And if you don't meet the goal, knowing how to look at it and see what your failures are and move past it. Self-rewards. How do you reward yourself? What do you do to make yourself, want to continue to either go on that route? Self rewards are amazing. Doing things for yourself. Me personally, just I love vacation. That's what my self rewards are. Self punishment. So if you didn't meet those goals, like we said previously, looking at them and being constructive and giving yourself constructive feedback to be able to achieve the goal or do better in the next time you try it. Self cueing or external signaling. This is the time. We should be doing this now. Knowing when to be able to say that, and really, something I would say to my best future self is, how can I develop as a leader, and how can I provide all of those things to myself? Is making sure I'm walking through those steps and not forgetting that you will fail or you will achieve, but making sure you're either rewarding yourself or actually being observant or setting goals so you can actually look back, and lead yourself. Next, we'll look at career. So my career path right now, I'm on the trajectory. I'm actually leaving the operations piece of hospitality, and I'm going to more of an IT kind of role. So where I see to myself in about 3 to 5 years, or something I would say to my future best self, is keep pushing for a director role. Keep making yourself vulnerable and making yourself available so you can learn and soak in so much information. Steps that I'm making, I am leaving, like I said, an operational role, going into more of an IT role, and really and truly. I can really say that that transition is happening now. The people that I've really reached out, I worked with a girl in a IT hospitality role prior, and I'm like, hey, how do I get in this industry? And she said, you can definitely apply, but if you know someone who knows a recruiter, definitely reach out that way. And individuals that are in the industry. So I puzzled her and I quizzed her, anybody that I came across, what do you like about it? What you don't like about it? What's different for it? Do you think I should apply? Do I have the skills? Do I have the knowledge? Things like that. So I definitely reached out to people. And I love the Harvard development exercise that we used, because it kind of gave us a transition. That's something I'll take with me. Jordan, you should be shining so bright that other people are in your way to say, hey, this is what can be on this trajectory. I can recommend you for this role, these things. And that's what I loved about that. The Harvard exercise that we did, the gentleman had the opportunity where his boss was recommending him, and you have to be ready. So my biggest thing to myself is, like, you have to stay ready, keep a resume ready, or keep yourself ready for that next interview, or whatever that case may be. I personally will continue to reevaluate my career path. I try to do it at least once every 6 to 8 months to make sure I'm comfortable in my role, that I like what I do. And something I would say to myself, continue to do that. And for my future best self and my career potential, the sky is absolutely the limit. You never know where you'll be. So continue to push yourself and push that envelope. You never know what can come out of, your next thing. And lastly, just your network. My network, I really say, will lack in that physical feedback. I have a huge LinkedIn network. I connect with a lot of folks, but really and truly just getting down into that network. So right now, building my network, just really getting out. I really wanted this year to get into some conferences and go out and do different things. Gap areas in my network, and is really just connecting that social media presence to that actual in-person presence, and being around folks in the industry and understanding. and using my friends like a personal life to make my network a lot more stronger than it is a great thing, because my friends can definitely offer great things and great people to be around, um, and individuals that can help me develop, my bosses, my leaders, all of those. I want those folks to definitely nurture me and say, hey, this is how we can develop you and make you better. um, Overall, I think my plan is really just to own in on this new role, but definitely something I would tell myself is keep yourself open, and be able to execute and develop and listen to what others have to say and address folks and find out how they got to where they are. So you can definitely be, your best self and continue to develop my network and people around me. Overall, that is pretty much what I would say to my future best self. Have a good one.